Hey everybody, David Shapiro here with a brand new video. So I posted on my YouTube channel, the community page, a few days, well, I guess it was just a day ago, good grief, 2 days ago. I had this idea, I used the ChatGPT to destroy the ChatGPT. So basically, ChatGPT is an incredibly powerful tool. Um, and obviously, people are using it for all kinds of stuff. But what if you use the AI to recreate the AI or improve the AI? Right? What if you have this kind of AI inception? And if I keep looking like beyond the camera, it's because there's some really gross looking storm clouds out there. Anyways, sorry, distracted. So I have this repo created, recreate ChatGPT, so you can follow my work. And prompts and stuff. And I've got this open, so here's the goal. But first, so this is going to be a long series. If it even works, I might give up. I know some of you have noted that a lot of my stuff doesn't work. That is on brand for my channel. So my channel is about fudging through things and finding what doesn't work as well as what does and figuring it out the hard way. So keep that in mind. I have no expectation that this will work, and neither should you. So first, let's establish requirements. Whenever you're starting any new project, you have to do planning. So this video will be about planning, and we might have to do like 2 or more videos on planning. Anyways, so let's talk through this. I am building an AI chatbot, just getting started. Let's see. I need your help. Don't worry about the AI part just yet. We are in the initial stages of planning. Let's start by focusing on the architecture, database, web, front end, back end, etc. I already know that I want to use Azure. Azure is my favorite platform. So we can start there. Talk through this with me. I basically need you to be a project manager, product owner, and cloud architect all in one. Are you up to the challenge, soldier? All right, let's see if ChatGPT is game. All right, it sounds like you have a good idea of what you want to do and the tools you want to use. Here are some steps that you could follow to get started. Define your project and goals and objectives. What do you want your chatbot to do? What is the target audience? Having clear goals and objective and decision making. Okay, determine your chatbot's functionality. What kind of interactions do you want your chatbot users to use? How complex carry on more complex conversations. That's a tongue twister. Choose your development platform. You mentioned you want to use Azure, which is a good choice. Some options include the Azure Bot Service to build custom chatbot logic. Cosmos DB, Azure SQL Database, good, Azure Table Storage. Build and test your chatbot. Okay, cool. And once this is done, I'll actually save that. I'll save this conversation out, so that way you can see the whole process. Damn, son, it's really going. Or if you'd like more detailed guidance. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and I'll just save this as I go, so I don't have to do it. Here, let's zoom out. That's too far zoomed out. Okay, so it's got, oh, here I need to do view. Oh, word wrap is on. Oh, it is wrapping. Okay, never mind. It just, some of these are long. All right, cool. So goals and objectives, define the functionality. So here's the skinny. There's this product out there. I'm telling ChatGPT about ChatGPT called ChatGPT, which uses GPT-3 as the AI backend. This is a general purpose, let's say universal chatbot that can do just about anything. Now, there are a few characteristics that set this chatbot apart from all the rest. First, it tends to give very verbose responses, like wall of text, or entire scripts, um, if you ask for code. Um, but it can do just about anything. It also seems to have a good long-term, not long-term memory, um, which, let's see. So those are the two primary features we need: infinite flexibility and long-term memory. Um, this is something I've studied, so I know how to do it from an AI perspective. Um, so first, let's focus on defining um, this project. Can you help distill down the requirements uh, for me? All right. It will need to be able to handle a wide range of tasks. Personal recommendations, decision-making support. Um, okay, it doesn't seem like it understands that it's universal. It's like you're going to have to build this. So it looks like, oh, scalability, that's a good thing. OpenAI had problems with scalability, didn't you? Um, so scalability, security, long-term memory, functionality, user experience is a key. Yeah, UX is primary. All right, I hope this gives you better understanding. Yep. Sure, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and save all this because that's good stuff. Here, I'll add some extra white space. Go ahead and save this. Recreate ChatGPT. So this will be Convo Planning 01. I have no, like I said, I have no idea how many of these it's going to take. Okay, so it's basically kind of regurgitating as like, okay, so from a project management standpoint, what's next? I have no idea. I have no idea what it's going to say. Project timeline, milestones and deadlines, tasks and subtasks, resources, a list of the people, tools, and other resources, budget, risks, and contingencies. Cool. Can you write the project plan for me um, based on everything I've shared already? Okay, so this is not going to actually write it. It's just going to give me an overview. Okay. So we found a limitation. It can give me general stuff, but it doesn't seem to understand like, no, write the plan for me. And I can't abort it. Okay. So actually no, here we go. It's getting a little bit specific. Hold on. Maybe I was wrong. Project of if you're a summary of the project goals. Oh wait, that's just a fill in the blank. Task 1, choose development platform. Subtask 2, research available platforms. Compare features and costs. Design its database. Build and test the chatbot. Yeah, I guess database is probably most very important. Um, so it's recommending Azure Cosmos, Microsoft Bot Framework, monitoring and analytics, Azure Monitor. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So it really wants me to focus on the database, which, okay, that's fine. Auto scaling features, great, we'll get to that. So this is actually pretty helpful. Although I am using a lot of my own knowledge and mental designs to kind of zero in on the stuff that's most helpful. So keep that in mind. Remember, with crime, anything is possible, so write that down. Sorry, no, we're not doing any crime here. Okay, difficulty building and testing, contingency, seek help from experts. Not bad. Difficulty scaling, contingency. risks and contingencies. This is I might actually use this for my my startup. This is not bad. I have a personal project manager just working through all this. Okay, cool, cool. Thanks. Let's focus on the database first. I think you're right to focus on that. After all, data is everything, right? Can you tell me all the reasoning around starting with the database design? What are all the conditions and criteria we need to look at? Can you start? Oops. Um, what kind of database or data store should we look at? One thing to keep in mind is that we need to handle um, semantic search, vector-based search with semantic embeddings for an arbitrarily large number of records. Think billions. Um, Basically, we need a super powerful AGI brain database. Okay, go. Deconstruct this for me. Designing the database of your chatbot is an important step as it will determine how your chatbot stores and retrieves information. Here's some key considerations to keep in mind. Data model. You'll need to decide how you want to structure your data and what types of information your chatbot will need to store. This will depend on the functionality of your chatbot and the types of interactions you want it to have with users. For example, if you want the chatbot to be able to provide personalized recommendations, you need to store data about the user's preferences and interests. Okay? Data storage, performance. All right, this is kind of generic. I was hoping that it would be a little bit more specific in terms of technologies, but well, actually, no. I got a little ahead of myself. NoSQL, Azure Cosmos DB, NoSQL databases are generally more flexible and scalable than traditional relational databases and can support a wide range of. Okay, so it keeps recommending Azure Cosmos. Cool. Performance, database is fast and responsive, scalability, security, got it. Cool. You keep recommending Azure Cosmos DB, and you mentioned NoSQL. Seems like this is the way to go. Explain your reasoning. Justify yourself, fool. Don't abuse your chatbot. Your chatbot is just trying to help. This is actually a lot of fun. Okay, Azure Cosmos DB, it's globally distributed, multi-model database, highly scalable performance, excellent, excellent, excellent global distribution, high scalability, handle billions of requests per day, cool. Multiple database models, including document, key value, graph, column family. You can choose the data model, it's low latency, it's security. Okay, so looks like it's going to recommend Azure Cosmos DB. Great. Large volume. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Sure. Oh, here, let me save these because these are really valuable. All right, where did I leave off? Let's see. Oh, so that we left off with the tasks. Okay, so we left off here. So let's get all this. Do 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 do. And let's continue on. Okay. Cool. All right. Fantastic. Let's talk through the data model then. First thing that comes to mind is the raw chat logs. I said, you said, or bot said, etc. I think we should probably store the raw chat logs somewhere, somehow. What kinds of fields or document or schema do you recommend for storing raw chat logs? User identifier, okay, who is participating. A timestamp when the message was sent. Message type, whether it was sent by the user or the chatbot. Message content. Okay, so user identifier is saying like who is having the conversation, and then you can have okay, that makes sense. Context, depending on the functionality, you may message content, so that's fine. Context. For instance, you provide personalized recommendation. You might want to store data about the topics that have been discussed. Conversation identifier. Yep, okay. This sounds good. Let me go ahead and save this. Do 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 do. Let's see. Or you could use traditional like Azure SQL. Um, yeah, let's think about which DB type to go with here. Semantic search or indexing or vector search are important. Do either Azure SQL or Azure Cosmos allow for that, or will we need to look at another service? Okay. So it says they both allow for search and indexing, but it's full text search. You can do full text index, contains or free text predicates your search queries. Okay. Um, Azure Cosmos DB, on the other hand, includes support for Azure Search, which is a fully managed service that can be used to index and search. It uses Apache Lucene, okay, which uses faceted search, which faceted search, if you're not familiar with, is, I believe, topical. So it facets it based on topic. Geospatial and language-aware search. You can use Azure Search to perform vector-based searches by creating a search index on your Cosmos DB data. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and save this because this is useful. All right, so it looks like Cosmos DB does handle everything that we need. Da, 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 da. All right, cool. Azure Cosmos it is. Glad we got that squared away. Now let's think about other operations that will need to happen on the data. What I mean by this is that we will want to um, hold out a scratch pad functionality. So basically, we will summarize conversations as they happen so that we can keep track of the whole task. Another thing that we need to do is be able to retrieve vast amounts of relevant historical information based on um, topics, uh, temporal factors, emotional valence, and so on. This will be useful for UX purposes, including relevant personal information or historical information. But we will also want to build or fine tuning data sets so that the underlying models get better. One thought that I had for this was to use the raw logs to create knowledge graphs. Um, uh, from the conversations. How would this work? Is it a good idea? Do you have any alternative recommendations? Using knowledge graphs to organize and represent data from chatbot conversations can be a powerful way to enable a range of functionality, such as summarizing conversations, retrieving relevant historical information, and improving the underlying models. So, one thing I want to point out here is that this response in no way relies on the rest of the conversation. My brain is holding the conversation. So, this could be a gimmick, right? This could be smoke and mirrors, where it feels like I'm having an ongoing conversation, but what in this response required any previous knowledge about the conversation? Not much. So that's what I wanted. That's why I wanted to make this video, is to point out as we went, like we already saw some limitations where it wasn't necessarily limitations. It basically has to talk through it and figure out what it is that you want, and then fully answer the question, which is great. But then there's nothing in this particular response that requires any long-term memory. It looks at the question, and then, because I gave it a lot of information and it gave me a very thorough answer. So there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to be cognizant, especially when you're designing these things, because I've done a lot of work on cognitive architecture. You can waste a lot of time and energy pulling irrelevant information, irrelevant memories, and trying to summarize them, and you'll just be wasting a lot of time and compute cycles. Okay, so let's see what it said. Let's see. It's such as summarizing conversations, retrieving relevant historical information. Oh, hey, look, it keeps the chat. In this case, the UX allows me to just say this is the chat, so I guess I can come back to it. So that's cool. A knowledge graph is a visual representation of the relationships and connections between different pieces of information. A set of nodes, which represent entities or concepts, and edges, which represent the relationships. To build a knowledge graph, okay, it's just going to tell me the nitty gritty. Let's see, overall, it can be a useful way. Okay, so summarize the overall data design so far. So it turns out I do that little like singing thing while I'm bagging groceries at the grocery store, and the girl at the checkout counter like called me out on it, and she's like, "Oh, you were here a couple weeks ago." Like I'm apparently their favorite customer or something, because I'm the dude who sings to himself while I'm bagging groceries. Apparently, I also do it while I'm reading ChatGPT output. Okay, to summarize the overall data design, you will use Azure Cosmos as your database technology. It is globally distributed, blah, blah, blah. You'll store your chat logs in Azure Cosmos DB as documents, with each document representing a single conversation. Okay, I don't know if we agreed on that, but the documents will include fields such as user identifier, timestamp, message type, message content, and conversation identifier. You will use Azure Search, which is a fully managed service to integrate. Cool. You will use knowledge graphs to organize and represent your chat log data, such as GPT-3, Neo4j, and GraphQL. This will enable you to summarize conversations, retrieve relevant historical information, and improve the underlying models. Yes, cool. So let me do a quick time check. How far in are we? We're already at 23 minutes. So we will probably just do a little bit more. Whoops, come back here. I feel like the overall thing is kind of coming into focus, like a data first approach. Okay, cool. That is not necessarily what I would have thought, but I just kind of followed this thing's lead, and it seems like it's making sense. We're thinking through it in terms of data. Okay. All right. So there are two things coming to mind. What are the pitfalls here? Like, what do we have to watch out for in terms of design, search, and retrieval? What I'm going to see is if it will, if it knows that like you can waste a lot of time on search and retrieval. There's going to be a lot of data to use, so I don't. Well, no, here. So we need to handle it carefully. What are your thoughts on that? All right, so let's see if it understands. I'm thinking through. I'm like, okay, I have this concern. Let me just ask you. Let's see. As your data becomes more popular, you'll need to ensure that your database and search infrastructure can scale. Data quality. Okay, so I guess that falls under scalability. That's fine. Data security, data quality. It's kind of regurgitating itself. Um, Search relevance. When designing your search functionality, you'll need to ensure that it is able to return relevant results to user queries. This may require careful tuning of your search indexes. Data privacy, GDPR, and CCPA. Excellent. Okay, that's fine. Um, yep. Do. Let's save this. And I said there's two things. There's pitfalls, and I don't remember what the other thing I was going to say was. Um, but yeah, so let's focus on scalability and relevance. Let me explain why. Uh, LLMs, large language models, are expensive to use. You pay per token. Uh, so that means we want to reduce uh, dependence on the bigger models as much as possible. Uh, so let's think about how we can offload as much work to faster, cheaper tools like indexed search rather than um, rather than doing a lot of inference with LLMs. Okay, uh, so basically, how do we focus in on retrieving the most relevant memories for chat? Like in for instance, in a sea of a billion chat logs, how do we find the 10 most relevant conversations? Ready, set, go. There are a few strategies that you can use to focus in on the most relevant memories for your chatbot and reduce your dependence on large language models, LLMs. Use full text search. If you're using traditional relational database like Azure SQL, so at this point it is forgotten that we're using Cosmos. So this obviously does not have the best long-term memory. And then it kind of says, okay, go back to this. It's based on Apache Lucene, use machine learning. So this is giving me really generic stuff. So what I'll do is, this is really super not what I was looking for. Um, Use machine learning. Duh, that's why we're here. If it had kept track of the whole conversation, it would know that. Use data sampling if you have a very large data set. Duh, I just said we have billions of conversations. Um, yep. So that can predict which memories. Well, okay, actually no. I need to read this a little more carefully because we talked about these. So use machine learning to predict which memories are the most relevant to a given query. For example, you could use a classification model to predict whether a given memory is relevant or not. So that indicates the possibility of maybe using a support vector machine, something that is well established and much cheaper. So that's an interesting possibility. Use data sampling. If you have a very large data set, you may want to consider using data sampling techniques to find the most relevant memories. Data sampling involves selecting a representative subset of your data and using it to train a model rather than using the entire data set. Okay, so these are some interesting possibilities, but I was hoping for something that was going to be more real time, um, and a little bit more like let's say tactical rather than strategic. Um, so this is okay. So we're thinking through this. Um, yeah, and basically, kind of what it's talking here is like quantizing. But it didn't give me something specific. It gave me kind of generic. So let's say, whoops, do you have specific examples of these techniques? Any particular tool, platform, ML method, or coding tactic? So let's see if it'll give me something specific. Okay, it's just going to give me the same thing. All right. So this is well, okay. It's telling me how to run a SQL database. Um, create full text, and then use contains or free text predicates. Select from. So you want to avoid doing select star when you have databases this big. Um, or I guess well, select star is probably okay, but where it contains, etc. Okay. Service name, indexes, API. Okay, so it's giving me a little bit. It's giving me a little bit specific. You can use the Azure Search REST API to find databases. Okay, I mean maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe simpler is better, and it's worth trying. Now we won't know until I actually give it a try. So there is that. Let's see, scikit-learn or TensorFlow. You'll need to prepare your data. Looks like we ran out of tokens. Okay, so let's do this. Do you have specific examples? Yep. Okay. So all right. Basically, probably we have to get here. Once you search something, and you find the most like five relevant things and summarize them or whatever, and then recursively summarize over time. Actually, let me do a time check. This is probably, yeah, we're at 30 minutes. All right, we'll call it a day. Okay, so please summarize this whole conversation so far. All right, and then we'll do this and call it a day. You're planning to build a chatbot that uses large language models as the AI backend with the following characteristics. Oh, wow, it does remember infinite flexibility, long-term memory. To implement these features, you're considering using Azure as your cloud and Cosmos DB. Maybe I was wrong. If it went all the way back to the original post, maybe it has some scratchpad capability or long-term search. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So yeah, I'm pretty jazzed. This has been fun. Obviously I can't stop thinking about these things. So I did have a few preconceived notions of like what this was going to be like. But I had no idea that it was going to focus on the data model first. So this machine did that for me. Yeah, very exciting. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned as we continue this planning project. We are going to use ChatGPT to recreate ChatGPT to the best of our abilities. All right, take care.